I, 40M, moved out of my and my wife's, 39F, bedroom after she caused me injury from trauma-induced night terrors. How do I help her see that she needs therapy? I posted this on another sub, but it was removed. In retrospect, it would have been better to post it here, as this is a more focused relationship sub that can potentially give me great insight on this issue. Wife, 39F, and I, 40M, have been married for 10 years, a couple for 15. She was violently mugged and assaulted by a dangerous man and had her valuables stolen from her in the pitch dark of night. This was when she was returning from work via public transport. The man that did this to her left my wife so traumatized she hasn't been able to go out on walks, has burst into tears over it at seemingly random times, such as when we make dinner or after we put the kids to sleep, refuses to go out at night without me by her side, and has said that she has loved the pandemic lockdown. It has allowed her to stay home all the time for work with me and our kids. I am happy that she feels comfortable at home, but ever since that incident, my wife has been hard to sleep in the same bed with. She rolls over and touches/squeezes my body and on occasion has accidentally prodded my eyes and face. I've got bruises because of it. Sometimes she just wakes up crying and I have to assure her that she will be fine and to sleep. It's been like this for a whole year. I have had sleepless nights for that long and it has affected my performance at work. I am a medical, essential worker and was on a 5 to 7 day a week schedule since the beginning of the pandemic crisis to before my back injury. I suggested my wife look into general therapy for her trauma from the mugging and more precisely sleep disorder therapy to deal with the nightmares she describes. And her descriptions of them terrify me. I hate that she is suffering with that. It's awful. I told her this and she rejected it, saying it's just a phase with her mind and she'll block them out eventually. She also says that with me by her side she fears nothing. I told her that trauma doesn't go away by itself, you need to process it and a therapist can aid that process. She rejected and said that with me by her side, she felt she could do anything, and that she loved me so much for accepting her as she is. But that's 7 months ago. Nearly every night since then I've been unable to sleep a full night, as from one extreme she's hanging onto my back and breathing rapidly to the other extreme, waking up screaming. This is rarer. I'm starting to lose it. One time during her night terrors she accidentally pushed me off the bed and I injured my lower back because of it, taking me off work. It's gotten to the point we can't share a bed together without me getting hurt on accident somehow. So I made a suggestion, until my wife worked with a therapist, either for sleep or for dealing in trauma, I would be moving into the spare bedroom. My wife got angry and said she needed me to hold her at night and make love to her and tell her everything is alright. She was actually sobbing, but I held firm and moved out. The next day she tried to seduce me to get me back into our bedroom, but I told her she had trauma, she needs help with her sleep and I would help her however she needed in any necessary capacity. But I need sleep too. She said that I'm heartless and a jerk, but I just need for her to see that she needs help. How can I help my wife see that therapy won't harm her and that she needs it without being pushy or overbearing? Input is greatly appreciated. Too long didn't read. Wife was mugged and assaulted by some piece of garbage that took her valuables. For a year now she has had trauma and difficulty sleeping peacefully because of it. I moved out once she caused injury due to trauma-induced nightmares on her part. I have a lot of empathy for your wife, but what she is doing is not healthy. She is using you as her therapy and emotional support, which isn't fair to you. Although you may be a medical worker and have a lot of knowledge about the human body, you may not be qualified to deal with mental health issues, and your suggestion that she see a therapist is the right one. Emo. For her own mental health, she cannot rely on you being her only means of soothing her anxiety. I'm sure you have your own stresses, anxieties, and issues to deal with, so she is not considering your feelings by forcing you to deal with your own issues as well as hers. God forbid if anything happens to you, what will she do? She needs to be able to self-soothe. She's an adult and has the right to refuse or seek treatment as she sees fit, but I think it would be helpful for you to continue pressing the issue with her and make it clear to her that it is impacting your relationship. Not to make her feel bad or guilty, but coming from a place of concern and care for her long-term well-being. I think it's time to be a bit blunt with her. Not mean, not angry. Calm, but extremely direct. You want me there to help you feel safe, which is understandable. However, you keep injuring me. What is your plan to keep me safe? Why is your need to feel safe more important than my actual, physical safety? I feel like you are okay with my getting injured as long as you feel safe. Are you? I respect that you want to try to work this out on your own. However, it's been over a year. At what point are you expecting to be better? Because from my perspective, you seem to be getting worse. Know that you are not hurting me on purpose. The fact that you refuse to get help and still insist on me sleeping with you make me feel like you don't care that I get hurt. It'll be uncomfortable, and she'll probably try to deflect, crying, yelling, changing the subject, etc. Don't engage with it. Just let her wear herself out and keep asking. You might need couples therapy to navigate this if she refuses to answer the questions, though. I had the same issue as your wife after being held hostage for 9 months by my ex. I found a psychotherapist and went for something called EMDR therapy. It's a form of talk therapy that works a lot like exposure therapy does for phobias. They would have her describe the event to them, then change the subject so she relaxes, then go back to the event in more detail, rinse, repeat. When she can recount the entire event, her feelings about it, etc., they'll help her work through those feelings and her symptoms would mostly subside. It definitely worked for me. Night terrors are down to once a year at the most. Hopefully this is an option for her, and I think you can go to these sessions with her as her support. I'm sure she doesn't want to hurt you or bother your sleep. You two must have a very good bond. You looking for help for her instead of because of her says as much. Killing it there, hubby. Heart, I'm so deeply sorry about what your ex did to you. You're strong for bearing it and getting out. EMDR therapy is a great idea. Is it useful for PTSD in particular? Can you coax her into couples therapy? Ideally one who specializes in trauma. That's a good idea. We'll look into that. You are doing what you can. Protecting and caring for your own health was the first, best in modeling the correct behavior. You might remind her that while you would absolutely support her through something like a toothache, by giving her shoulder rubs, or taking on extra work around the house or kids while she was in pain, she wouldn't expect you to install a crown on her right mandibular third molar. She'd see a dentist. You are and have been supporting her through her pain. But she needs a mental health professional to help treat and manage her pain. She needs to see someone qualified to offer that kind of support and assistance. You're her husband, not her dentist or her therapist. You're also not her teddy bear. You are a human being who need to be able to sleep safely, or else you will go insane. Maybe use a different example if you are actually a dentist. 27F. Don't know what to do about my marriage to my husband, 36 meters, he is really hard to live with. Our most recent issues for which we go to therapy for are that he blames me for everything. I have an issue and I am open and honest with him about it and he puts it all on me as a response. I understand criticisms are hard, but I'm past resentment at this point for going along with things so far beyond my boundaries for the sake of his feelings. He just went on a tirade against me because I asked him, after over 10 times bringing it up, probably more than that, to just stop touching me and initiating sex with me if it's been more than 2 days since he has showered, which was our compromise. I'd much rather him shower daily. He can go over a week without showering. And TBH, I would feel so violated being intimate with him. He is constantly scratching his butt or crotch like he literally puts his hands down his pants and scratches for minutes at a time. I ask him why and he says because it's sweaty and stuff. I'm overwhelmed with my own life and I'm tired of treating him like a baby and telling him he needs to shower. I don't understand why he doesn't just shower. This has been a problem for over a year among other problems. He says I don't give him time or space. We are taking care of a newborn. I am also in school and we are living on his unemployment until he finds work. I often leave the house with our child to give him space, but he always comes back at me with all the things he does and why am I so ungrateful? I feel like it's unfair because he feels like since he washes the dishes and went grocery shopping a few times I can't have a problem with him not showering. I also asked him to help me a bit more around the house so I have time for school. I'm finishing my last semester and classes are hard. That was a big fight. Everything he does for me he holds over my head so that whenever I come to him with a problem he throws in my face how he has providing for us etc. and we should just go 50-50. He says a bunch of stuff like that when he is mad and then takes it back saying I don't have to work, I'm getting a job anyway as soon as I finish school, and he is just frustrated with himself. At this point I feel like I'm just counting the days until I finish school, find a job and get my own place. Life would be a lot easier on my own. I put a lot into our relationship and to make him happy just for him to tell me I'm mean and unsupportive and not a team player because I don't have it in me to continually remind him to shower. I love him and I want to keep our family together, but I feel like I'm at my wit's end. There are two sides to every story of course, but I really feel like he is being unfair. TLDR, I'm really just venting about my husband. Update, the responses helped me make a decision. I decided to plan my exit strategy. I'm going to finish school, hide some money and get out. I won't marry again. Thanks guys. Normally I would say keep pushing for counseling, but this isn't counselable. It's parenting him. You shouldn't have to tell him to shower. Frankly, I'd put his toothbrush in the shower and tell him good every time he sees it. He can do both. And I would stop doing his laundry. I'd say oh well, it defeats the purpose if you're gonna be gross underneath it anyway. Shit, I'd make him sleep on the couch if he wanted to be a pig like that. This post appealed to me because we have similar age difference in partners. I've been married once before and I know what it's like to be with someone unfixable. Gross. I had to stop reading. You know, marriage isn't a death sentence, nor is it an agreement to live in misery with a slovenly man who goes on tirades. I bailed whole through and there are still so many deal breakers in your post. Please don't be another I'm staying for the sake of my child person. How about I'm calling time on this awful relationship for the sake of my child? Or your child will have a completely warped idea of how to act in adult relationships. Your husband doesn't show you respect or treat you decently. Why would you want your child growing up with that as their role model and thinking that was okay? Break the cycle. I couldn't get past the not showering and sticking his hands down his pants to scratch around. That's so fucking gross. Why would you marry someone with zero hygiene standards? Was he always like this? Is he mentally ill? Just because you married him doesn't mean you need to stay married to him. Tell his nasty ass to bathe or jeet foe. He's living like a spoiled single 20-something. He views showering as a chore he does to appease you, rather than something he should do as a functioning and hygienic adult. That's why he attacks you and says that you shouldn't nag him to shower, a chore, because he already washed the dishes, another chore. He also seems to think he shouldn't have to do many if any chores in a given day, and every one he does is a huge effort that you should be grateful for. He's a child, and this is unlikely to get any better when you've already discussed it with him and he insists on blaming you for his immaturity, irresponsibility, and laziness. My 23F boyfriend, 24M, basically kicked me out of his family party and he's been acting weird ever since. I spent last Christmas with my boyfriend's family. I haven't met them before and they had few of their family friends over. Naturally I was pretty nervous. I tried having small talks with everyone, but I was mostly just watching and having fun. They mostly spoke a language I don't really understand, barely basic conversations. They try to include me sometimes, but obviously I'm not the only one there. I haven't seen my family for over a year by then, so I really enjoyed the family vibes I was having at the time. At some point of the party, one of the moms said something to my boyfriend. I only understood they were talking about me. Almost immediately my boyfriend asked to have a talk upstairs where I was given a room. He apologized for the awkwardness and asked if I wanted to play with his game console to kill time. I was so confused, I didn't even have a chance to say goodbye, nor have I expressed any discomfort at any point of the party. And now I am basically being kicked out without any explanation. He didn't ask if I wanted to join again, he just left me there for the rest of the night. I was supposed to take Christmas pictures with them. I heard his mom asking for me when they were about to take them and he just said I was sick. The party was over and he came to check on me. My face was swollen from crying that night, so he asked me why I was crying. I said I was just homesick. I was so confused and embarrassed that I didn't want to explain why I was really crying. He briefly comforted me and was acting like nothing happened. He smelled of alcohol at the time, so I can't really blame him for not talking about it at the time. The next morning I was still emotional about what happened, so I lied to his parents and said I had an emergency and I had to leave. I was supposed to go with them on a trip that day. I was a mess. He didn't even offer to take me back home until his parents offered to drive me home. His mom basically forced him to come with me. He was genuinely not going to. He dropped me home and went back for their trip. What puzzled me is that he literally hasn't brought the subject up ever since. Worst of all, he's been acting so different since then. I brought it up few weeks later. He said he thought I wanted to leave and that I was uncomfortable. I expressed that he didn't ask me if I was uncomfortable, that he basically made it sound like stay upstairs and never come back down. I asked him about what the woman said. He said she asked if you were okay. I can't say what else she said. Oh sorry, I mean I don't remember what else she said, and said some more nonsense. It didn't add up. He's a native English speaker. There's absolutely no reason why he would make such mistake. I could be wrong, but I think any human being would ask if I was uncomfortable before kicking me out of a party. I know his mom is not involved, as she seemed genuinely confused and concerned about the situation. I really don't know what could have been the reason he did what he did. And why would he not say anything? TLDR, my boyfriend kicked me out of his family party and he wouldn't tell me why.